Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com.
Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gautreaux back from his civic duty, juror number 6, or not juror number 6. Good to have you back. Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. Andy Isco with us from Las Vegas. We do first class, second class, no class on Tuesdays. Nice looking day here in the capital city. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, congratulations on not turning the ball over more than Jalen Hurts did last night. One of the uglier
That's out
games.
of character for him
To turn the ball over that many times, yeah. To play that poorly. I would say so. One of the goofier games this year, with all of the ball moving around.
Where did Jalen Hurts kind of get really going? You know, when Steichen was there, he was a dual threat guy. I mean, how many design runs did you see with him last night?
Gosh, not many. And
name one.
I'm trying to think. I'll tell you that when he ran very, I don't want to say tentatively, but very much trying to stay behind the line of scrimmage. You know, whereas previous times you'd see, a lot of times I expected him to take off, and he didn't, trying to stay behind the line, and usually not with very good results.
He's trying to become more of a passer, and they're trying to use him more as a drop-back passer. But he's not a straight drop-back passer, and that's a big step that he's trying to take. And, you know, you got a guy with 6 days removed from surgery and playing with a cast, but when they needed to play because they couldn't block, and when they needed to play, they ran a design running play. They ran a fake read option. He pulled it and got him into field goal range to tie it up. And they ran another design play to put him in field goal range to take the lead, at least get a field goal, you know, on their first drive, so that a field goal wouldn't beat them in overtime. And Philadelphia never did that. They never did that. And, you know, even when he was clearly having one of his worst nights ever, just didn't go back to his bread and butter. And he's a runner first. Now, they couldn't block for Barkley. Barkley's running into a brick wall. But, you know, I mean, I don't remember one time where they ran a design run with Jalen Hurts last night.
No, I don't either. There were a couple where he was forced to scramble, but no, I don't remember one either. The number of turnovers, obviously, it caught everybody's attention. It's one of the worst games. Well, nobody's turned the ball over twice in one play since they started recording. That's kind of flukish. The second part, the first one was his fault. The pass was bad, but the fumble was flukish. But the other ones were. Ooh, he had some bad throws last night.
That's. I wouldn't have even scored it like that. I don't think he had full possession of the ball. I mean, if he was,
I was actually curious.
If he was a receiver and had it that long, he wouldn't have got. It would have been incomplete.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know how they officially scored that. I'm way more of a problem. Wait, you threw the interception to number 91.
Yeah, it was a terrible throw.
It's not exactly a safety back there. It's not Derwin James. 91 was so uncomfortable with the ball, he coughed it up immediately. And then the first down interception, you know, so to end the game. So, and how about this when he struggled? He started just overly throwing with a lot of heat. I mean, he was throwing some balls the ball that was high, that Brown was extended and he could have got crushed. So he was not fully extended, maybe a little alligator arms there. They were tipped off his hands. But his best throw on 3rd and 16, And it was just like, that is a brutally tough ball to catch for Devontae Smith. He's just like throwing as hard as he could. I mean, it was really, it was, oh man, it was weird. He was struggling in all areas, and I would have gone back to the grassroots with him, and ran some design running plays.
The whole thing for Philadelphia, we make a big deal out of Philadelphia because they're the reigning champs, but Hurts' problems that we talked about. The run game never really got going, save for the one drive where Saquon looked like last year's Saquon.
The one play could have been holding.
The 50. Okay, well, the touchdown to A.J. Brown, I thought could have not been holding too.
Right. No. But it was. I mean, you call that. Sometimes you call it. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, but the guy got away with it on that play.
Right.
They could have called that, like you said. They called some other ones that were just as iffy.
Brown, a couple of plays that you would expect him to make. Now, I thought the early play, the first play of the game, I didn't think it was the easiest catch in the world. Aikman called it a drop, so I'll call it a drop, I guess. But I didn't think it was the easiest ball. First of all, he had to change his route. He ran a stop, and then when Hurts started to move a little bit, he took off down the field. Hurts puts the ball. I mean, it's an over-the-shoulder catch. I wouldn't have called it a drop.
I wouldn't have either.
It's
I
a play
was surprised
he could make.
He did.
It was a play. Yeah.
He could have caught the ball in a drop is completely different.
I wouldn't expect a normal receiver to make that. I expect a little bit more out of A.J. Brown, even with the year he's had, but I wouldn't have called it. Anyway, that's a play that maybe could have been made. They do all this without Lane Johnson, who they haven't won a game since he's gone out.
What has been the luxury? It has been their offensive line was been arguably the best in football, and their defensive line has been arguably the best in football. And we want to make Hurts a Hall of Famer in this one, and then when Brown went out, they missed him. Barkley. I mean, he was an all-time year last year, all-timer.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City took him away. Well, you're going to give something up if you're going to try. He didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. Well, and Hurts has got single coverage left and right all over the place. And so, I mean, they've forced teams to play. But, that off. And, Kelsey lost for a year, and then you wondered, okay, they still were okay. But when you lose Lane Johnson and then lose the other guy last night as well, I mean, yeah.
They were talking about, hey, call Kelsey. He's in the building. I was like, no, I don't think he's coming back.
No.
And with all of that, with everything we just said, the Eagles go to overtime on the road against a playoff team and could have won the game, even with all that.
Oh, sure. First down in the red zone.
So there's still
I
a
thought they
dangerous
blew it
team.
at the end of regulation. I thought for sure. I mean, this is milk the clock, set up for a field goal, and it's over. But they had some awkward play calling, game management that allowed way too much time for the Chargers to get back and get that tying field goal at the end of regulation.
Yeah, they also, at the end of the first half, they get the gift, 48-yard field goal.
And miss it.
And he missed it. It's a very makeable kick.
For those of you who are too young to remember Jim Mora, that's how Jim Harbaugh coached last night. He had a great kicker, Hall of Fame kicker, and he settled for a lot of field goals. The scoring was not as much, so for Harbaugh to do it these days, he would drive the analytics ultra aggression crew out of their minds because he just doesn't coach like that. And he's got a kicker who's basically automatic.
Yeah,
and that's part of it. And so when you throw the analytics with a kicker like Dicker is different from most kickers. Even in this season in the NFL where like 60-yarders are like 35-yarders.
Yeah. He also benefited from the return of Amari and Hampton, who I think makes them a lot more dangerous, a lot more versatile. Vidal is a nice back. I don't know that he's an every down back. His effectiveness sort of waned got a little bit worse as his usage increased. He's a nice back when you can use him in tandem with Hampton, who I think is the better talent.
Well, that's why they invested so much in Hampton.
Yeah, and so he's been out for 6-7 weeks, something like that. Getting him back makes them a lot more dangerous. Jim Harbaugh said it was a huge win for him.
Well, they're top two tackles, man. I mean, you knew, and he got the job. He was going to take Alt. number one, or an offensive line. He's going to build that line of scrimmage first, and then he had they had signed the other tackle. They're both out.
Rashawn Slater was one of the top half dozen linemen in the NFL.
And Alt is right there with him.
Yeah, he's just younger.
It's got to feel good for the Chargers to have a great kicker, because for a while it feels like the Chargers were doomed by their kickers. I feel like there was over a decade of the Chargers consistently losing games because of their kicker late. And the last 4 years with Dicker, 98% on kicks inside of 50 yards. That's both field goals and extra
just the kicker
points.
or also the coaches? Because the coaches seem to find their way on the right side. The better coaches seem to find their rights on the right side of these close games, Sean Payton, than some of the others like Brandon Staley.
Well, Peyton also didn't have a great kicker for a while either. He kind of had some.
No, I'm saying I think it's more. I think that you're able to coach like that, but I think it's Jim Harbaugh more than the kicker that is winning. You're saying I think the upgrade from kicker, absolutely. Any kicker in the history of the game, he's going to be an upgrade. He's the all-time most accurate. But I think the upgrade from all those close games that they lost, the upgrade is more significant from coach, and that's from Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh. And then who's the other
Anthony
knucklehead?
Lynn. Anthony Lynn was bad too.
No, but but with Denver, they didn't have a ton of close games, did they?
Nathaniel Hackett, not quite.
They didn't have a ton of close games.
So a couple of playoff teams last night at SoFi. We're here at Dozy.
The Chargers going to make it to the playoffs?
Man, they would have to collapse at this point, I think, not to. You're looking at nine wins with 4 games to go, and those 4 games. Now the 4 games are they're all three of them on the road. So yeah, I guess you got a little bit more work to do.
So his analytics chart should be different because he's got just the best kicker in the league. Okay, and he plays like that. He's a line of scrimmage. So that's why it makes also. If anybody watched the game on Sunday night, it was a field position game. I mean, it's 10-10 in the fourth quarter. I mean, yards are hard. 4th and 1s are hard. And for Andy Reid, for that the first time to do that in his career in that spot was really odd and that's, John, we think about the Chiefs and their run. We think about high flying, baby. They're rolling. No, yards were way tougher than most of those. And that made it just kind of a reach. And maybe he is reaching a little bit because they are. When have they been 6-6?
Yeah.
In the 13th game of the season. So maybe that. I thought also it's interesting, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I don't have a strong opinion either way. Eagles won a toss last night. They elected to kick. So I think the Dallas-Green Bay game didn't Green Bay elect to kick? Was that right?
The game that ended 40-40?
Yeah.
That's the one? I don't remember. I don't remember the beginning of the overtime. I don't. The Chargers have a 2-game lead. No, I'm sorry. They have a 3-game lead over everybody but the Colts as far as getting in the playoffs. The Colts are done. Now the Chargers are going to be
by sitting on the bench.
They're going to be underdogs in 3 of the last 4. Okay, because 3 or 4 are on the road, and they play the Broncos, they play the Cowboys, they play the Chiefs. But the Colts would have to catch them. I can't imagine that Baltimore, Kansas City would catch them. They're 3 games behind with 4 to play. So, and you got a game with the Texans, but the Texans and Chargers can both make it into the playoffs along with the Bills as the wild cards. Now, the Colts would have to catch them, and I don't see that happen. I mean, they brought in, God bless, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers last night for a workout. They're looking for a quarterback.
He's showing the plays right now late in the game, and Herbert, and you got to give a lot of credit for Herbert's toughness. That's obvious.
Yeah.
Okay, we all do. But, I mean, just design running plays. And, and I think Harbaugh, he didn't do it a whole lot, but, man, he needed a play, and he called his number. And I thought that Philadelphia just did not do that last night. Well, clearly your quarterback is struggling.
Chargers minus 340 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Colts would have to catch them.
Those, well, they ain't happening.
No. So short of that, the Ravens or Chiefs would have to make up 3 games in with 4 to play.
Anthony Richardson eye socket injury that picked up like in the 3rd or 4th week in practice.
No, this was in the locker room, I believe.
In a locker room.
Who hit him?
It was like a elastic band that came up and snapped and hit him in the eye or something.
A weight room?
It was just a freak accident, and he's on IR. He might not play the rest of the year. We'll see.
Because I was trying to figure out what's going on with Riley Leonard, why he came in the game, because we're kind of becoming a little bit of Achilles. When I'm watching at the Queen on Sunday, I'm like, that sure looks like a damn Achilles. He's holding it right there the whole bit.
Oh,
and
he knew how bad
yeah,
it was.
he knew. So over here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street, that Crown Town Room is over here, and it's a great meeting place for this holiday season. You're looking for last-minute holiday gathering spots, come on over here. If you just got, about 6 of you, 8 of you, you need a reservation, no problem. But if you got, about a 12 top that you want to make sure that you have a table ahead of time, no problem. We put you in the bay, while the bay window is in the front. I think you can fit up to about 12, 14 maybe there. Crown Town Room, we could configure it anyway from an 8 top up to about 60 people if you want to rent the whole thing out. So plenty of TVs to watch the bowl season, any type of action sports that you want to watch that may be on at the time of your gathering. Well, turn them off. So put on your music if you want. The Crown Town Room over here at Doe's Eat Place. Lunch menu, it's served Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've got different sandwiches and burgers and chicken sandwiches of all types. We can create all your toppings, po' boys as well, including an underrated meatball po' boy with some delicious homemade meatballs in red gravy over here from Doe's. There are plate lunches as well that include the spaghetti and meatballs, hamburger steak, catfish platter, country fried steak, and, of course, we have salads as well. All of our lunch menu items are not available for dinner. So it's Casual Steakhouse. We get those hand-cut steaks with those great sides over here, mostly for dinner. But for lunch, try out. We got different plate lunches and a whole lot of burgers and sandwiches here at Doe's Eat Place.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show is always available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. That is brought to you by Supreme Rice, supporting our Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. Go to SupremeRice.com. Frank Wilson talking to the media, the bowl press availability, the first of the bowl press availability. LSU goes back to practice on Thursday to get ready for the December the 27th game. So some news and things, if you will. Wilson, of course, was asked about his future with Lane Kiffin as the head coach. I'll give you the exact quote. It's, "We've had conversations, and for me and Coach Kiffin, it's play this game on the 27th, and we'll go into those details later. We just want to finish what we started with the football team, give them our undivided attention before the transition happens. Until then, nothing will necessarily happen in that regard. Where that lies, I'm not sure. The priority is the current football team." So the corresponding story to this is that LSU sent 4 other assistants to join Charlie Weiss back to Ole Miss for the entirety of the college football playoff run. They play Tulane on December the 20th. That's a week before the Texas Bowl. They're heavy favorites to win that one and advance another.
Ole Miss allowed them to coach?
Going to allow all of them to coach. Yes, all the way through.
Different policies for the head coach and the assistants.
Yes. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the optics of it again. And if it's ego-driven and short-sighted, that's just what they picked. They'll probably show Charlie Weiss once or twice in his game. They probably won't show the other assistants at all. They would have been on Lane Kiffin, LSU head coach, with the Ole Miss gear on the whole game, and Ole Miss just could not. They couldn't stomach that. They're not gonna do it. So you have until the bowl game. Essentially, the coaching staff that was here is still here, and the coaching staff that's coming here has gone back to finish the job at Ole Miss. That keeps you set until the 20. Yeah, probably through New Year's.
I thought it was because they didn't want him purging their roster. What's preventing the other coaches from purging the roster?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. And that was always an excuse. Again, those relationships have been forged before. The transfer portal opens in January. they can do whatever they want. I understand that they're in the building and they can talk to them every day, but these relationships have been long-standing. I mean, Lane Kiffin's not going to introduce himself to anybody in that building, neither any of these assistant coaches. This was about the optics of you getting punked.
Had Kiffin handled it better?
Yes.
They may have.
Maybe.
You know? I mean, you can't defend the way he handled it. I mean, he made it a circus, you know.
Right. No, I understand.
There's no great time to leave. Okay, with the thing. I mean, he took a better job, but he certainly could have handled it better.
He thought at the very end that they would cave and let him coach.
Well, they told him,
and they
for
told
weeks.
him. They told him for weeks, and he thought that they would. He thought when it came down to it, the emotion of the day would carry it, and they would cave and let him coach, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. That's what I think happened. I mean, do you disagree? That
no,
I know you're telling me no, but you don't really mean no. When that Egg Bowl comes around and we win, and our name's going to go up for sure on that thing, you guys are going to cave and let me coach. And then the SEC game opening up kind of added another layer to it.
Because he did prove that the distractions or supposed distractions of him still being there with one foot out the door did not impact that Egg Bowl.
Not at all. Not at all. They could have won that game by more, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The rest of the news, players that will not play, Mansour Delane, you can understand that. He'll be a first-round pick. Garrett Nussmeier still trying to get healthy. Whit Weeks, who played just a little bit against Western Kentucky and then played a lot against Oklahoma, is going to get well. He's not playing. Aaron Anderson they said his status is in doubt, so for the moment, let's call him doubtful. He was out at the end of the year. They did say that Braylon Moore, the center, has a chance to play. Jack Pybron, defensive end, and others, Wilson said, may opt out, but that has not been finalized. Pybron is going to play in the Senior Bowl. So that's kind of the update on players' availability for the bowl game. Ahmad Bro, Ashton Stamps, both in the transfer portal. Stamps we've known about for at least half the season, was going to go into that transfer portal. Ahmad Bro, his playing time kind of waned a little bit near the end of the season. I thought he had a really good freshman year, not as good of a sophomore year. I was kind of hoping he would stick around, but he is not. So I think that is the news out of the press availabilities. LSU goes back to practice on Thursday. We were talking during the break.
Would they have opted out of this game if they could have?
I don't think the conference would have looked favorably upon that. I think they would have fined them.
They would have opted out last year if the conference would have allowed them.
Yeah.
Okay, would they have opted out if the conference didn't have that pressure? I mean, Big 12's not happy about Iowa State and Kansas State.
No, they sent them an invoice on that. Would they have opted out of this game if the league said it blessed it? And probably so. Not ordinarily. My previous thinking on this was the practices were invaluable, that you essentially got another spring practice. But that was before college football changed their calendar so much that between your opt-outs, your injuries, the fact that the game has no real bearing on much of anything. I mean, Jimmy, did you even look at the odds on the bowl games besides the playoffs this weekend?
Very little.
Just glanced at them. Why? Because you don't know who's going to be playing. I mean, not right now, not today. Houston's a 3.5-point favorite in this game based on I don't know who's going to play in this game.
Who do you know is going to have their guys in?
Service academies.
Those lines have shifted 10 points.
10 points. Okay.
10.
Yeah, nobody's opting out. Nobody's opting out there. That's the one you want to be there when the line comes out at the window. So would they opt? So these practices, how valuable are these practices with the old coaching staff? They're not installing anything.
They're prioritized because there's so many more moving parts, and everybody's coming in with the recruiting class or your new additions, and everybody want to try and have them all enrolled for spring semester. So early to mid January, that's where they're trying to secure the roster for the spring semester.
And 10 of the 14,
more than those 15 practices with the former staff and who's going to be there. And
10 of the 14 will be. If Frank did confirm that today, 10 of the 14 signees will be there in the spring. So, thanks for reminding me to bring that up. But I just don't know how valuable. I'm not saying they have no value. I mean, you're going out, you're practicing, you can get better, but I think they're a lot less valuable than they used to be. I mean,
100%.
That team that is practicing on Thursday is only going to 50% resemble the one that starts next August, 40% resemble the one next August, 55%. I mean, whatever the number is, it's low.
I think, for Van Buren, it's giving him another shot. And look, that's a hard assignment to go to Norman to play them. But, does he show you any type of – is he auditioning for his either LSU or his next step? I can give you one. This is kind of a team that wasn't really playing for much. But Taylor Green, I thought, took a big step and showed you in the bowl game last year how maybe what to expect for him this year. And he was really good.
Yeah.
And he took a big jump from the regular season to that bowl game last year. I think they played Virginia Tech maybe. I forget. But that's it's isolated. It's small little,
If you have a quarterback that you know is going to be your starter next year and he gets to make his first start or his second start in that bowl game, well, then you can look and see what you got. I think the odds are severely against Michael Van Buren being the starting quarterback next August.
Of course, but he's auditioning for other spots too.
Yes, yeah. Sure.
I mean, Nussmeier looked great in the bowl game last year.
Yeah,
he looked really good.
No, he did.
Now he had a whole season.
He had a season.
A sample size.
I'll give you one. How many games did Matt Flynn start when he started the Peach Bowl? One or two?
With Jordan Jefferson too.
Jordan Jefferson too. That's an even better example because he really hadn't played.
That was
maybe
Flynn's
for
first
2
start.
games. The Peach Bowl was his first start. Okay,
I think so.
Okay, if it wasn't his first one, it was one of the first 2 or 3, and he looked great in that game.
Those guys in the morning don't even remember, Charlie. I'm joking.
Call up our morning show producer, see which game that was for Flynn.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title and his long-standing staff, Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith, buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds in Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
You know, that music is appropriate because whenever you run into Andy, he's got some cowboy boots and a big hat on. And Spurs, yes. He's got that. He rides his horse when he comes to meet us over at Circa.
He park a horse on the Strip?
Yes, they saddle.
Downtown?
Yes, on Fremont Street.
Right.
He's got a reserved spot for his horse on Fremont Street. How you doing, cowboy?
Well, I wish all that were kind of true, but it must have been a one of a dream you must have had drinking before you came up with that thought.
How you doing, Andy? What did you make of last night's game, sir?
I loved it because I had the Chargers, and, of course, I had them for futures, but I thought it was we've seen this from Philadelphia all year. They have just been struggling on offense. They've had no consistency. Now, they did outgain the Chargers last night, which is one of the rare things. I think they've only done it now 3 times that they've outgained an opponent in yardage. They're 8-5. They probably end up making the playoffs as the division champion because I don't think Dallas is going to be able to run the table, and I don't think Philadelphia is going to lose perhaps more than just a Buffalo game going down the stretch. But I just can't see them doing much in the playoffs this year. We had the one again, and I saw it this morning on one of the programs that they used Barkley I think 13 times in the first half and 7 times in the second half and overtime. They have not been giving him the workload, which I understood for say the first half of the season. But now you want to gear up and you want to be playing your best. He's fresh relative to last year.
Andy, what do you think about what the college football committee did on Sunday?
I was disgusted, very, very simply. It came down to Alabama, BYU, Miami, Notre Dame. I thought Notre Dame got screwed. Remember, the game they lost was a 3-point game decided in the final minute of the first week of the season. Now, what people have not heard mentioned, in week 2, Notre Dame, they lost at home in that wild game against A&M by a point on a missed extra point. Well, you know what Miami did in week 2? They beat Bethune-Cookman 45-3, an FCS team. I don't recall Notre Dame playing an FCS team, so already you have an unfair comparison between a team that played 12 FBS bows versus 11. Then you have the situation with Alabama and BYU, where they said, we're not going to penalize teams for losing in their conference championship game. Well, they certainly didn't penalize Alabama, but they did penalize BYU by knocking them down a little bit and allowing them to invoke that head-to-head clause that they had not been using all the last month and a half when they were putting the rankings in, but they used it to penalize BYU but not penalize Alabama. Oh, Alabama, by the way, was another team that played an FCS team when they walloped East Illinois late in the season. So they also only played 11 games against FBS. I think, and by the way, one other thing the committee did, they forgot to change the rules. When the Pac-12 got eliminated when it went down to 12 teams, they should have reduced it to the 4 top conference finishers, which would have been the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC. But the ACC wasn't in this year, so that's where the group of 6 was able to get their 1 representative. When it was 5, well, now they got 2 representatives because the committee didn't change the rules for the 2 years where the Pac-12 not a conference.
Yeah, they. I gotta believe, and they kicked it. They were supposed to do this, December 1st, but they kicked it to January to try and get more. Let's see how this thing unfolds. And I think the biggest change is going to be they are going to have. You got to have some sort of ranking requirement or not. I mean, James Madison's eligible for an at-large bid, but they're not getting an automatic. That's just not going to happen. That is
right.
Not going to happen. And, I mean, it's not coincidence, that James Madison and Tulane are playing on Turner and not on ESPN, on Friday and Saturday. So the Bears in Chicago, I mean, the Chicago and Green Bay game, I kind of took a little bit more little respect out of the loser than the winner, man. Man, the Bears competed. Look, I had Green Bay minus 6.5. I felt fortunate. I thought Chicago was the right side in that game. And I don't know, even in a loss, out of all these close wins that they had, I'm gaining a little bit more respect.
No, absolutely. I did have the Bears plus. I got +7 when it showed up during the middle of the week. So I pushed. It all came down to one play because Green Bay took the lead. Chicago rallied back. Green Bay extended the lead. Chicago rallied back. I give Ben Johnson a lot of credit. He certainly had a positive impact. I'll be interested to see what happens in the rematch, but I certainly won't have any reservation about backing the Bears in the rematch. You have to wonder what the line will be, assuming no significant injuries between now and then. Maybe Green Bay will be a 1.5 point favorite, considering they were 6.5 to 7 at home. I won't have any problem backing the Bears to win that game.
All right. Anything that you any futures that you're looking at right now for the college football playoff bowl games? Any approach on that? It's going to be very difficult to try and monitor. Got a lot of work if you're trying to see who's opting out and who's playing for these bowl games. But just anything else in college or professional hoops as well?
Well, I haven't done anything with the futures. And by the way, my rant against Notre Dame had nothing to do. I had no interest in the futures or anything like that. So I just felt it was from a football standard. And by the way, opting out is going to cost the TV networks a lot of viewership because the casual fan who doesn't follow football, when it's a bowl season and everybody's at home during the holidays, you get a lot of eyeballs on Notre Dame. So I think Notre Dame is sending a message. And by the way, I think I mentioned it very briefly on Sunday. I think at some point they're going to have to give Notre Dame's going to have to give some consideration to join a conference, either the SEC or what would make more sense, the Big Ten. As far as what I like about I would not be surprised to see Indiana make a nice little run. They beat Oregon, and now they overcame all the naysayers about Ohio State. This team is playing with a great deal of confidence. I have not taken a look at their odds, but I certainly like their path to the championship game.
Here's my thing, Andy. I don't think they've got all the other sports in the ACC. They pick and choose which 6 games they want to play in the ACC every year, and then they can. And in the COVID year, when they needed to play, they were allowed to play in a conference championship game. Do they want to try and let them know at the end of the year if they would want to know, or they accept a bid to play in a conference championship game? I don't know, but I know this: next year, it's written that they finish in the top 12, they're in. Well, there could be, if they finish 12 and there's a team that's 11 that's ahead of them, they will take their spot, even though that they're ranked in the current system. That can easily happen.
Remember, the rankings are so subjective, and we saw it this past week. I mean, how do you explain the inconsistency of having Notre Dame ranked ahead of Miami all year, and now all of a sudden, they don't make it in there? Why even have those shows other than ESPN wants to sell some advertising? And by the way, Notre Dame is not the Notre Dame that we remember from 30, 40 years ago, when you didn't have all the games on TV and Notre Dame was a major, major player in college football. Yeah, they're still important, but I think being outside of a conference, the TV networks at some point are going to say, hey, we're not getting the same amount of audience that we used to get with Notre Dame, and there's a good reason. There's just not as much singular interest between the casual fan and the hardcore football fan.
I mean, a chunk of the games are on Peacock. And
that's
not as strong as NBC.
And what Notre Dame would you have been getting? Would you have gotten, if Notre Dame had gone to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, would you have been getting essentially what Florida State was 2 years ago? Florida State didn't. That was Freeman's argument against, okay? And I don't want to be in the business of defending Notre Dame, but he said it's not going to be the same team. I got guys opting out. Florida State went to the Orange Bowl, I believe it was, when they got
against
snubbed.
Georgia.
Against Georgia, got beat by 60 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was like 60-3 or something like that.
And it was a completely embarrassing game
Absolutely,
because, 20 of their guys had opted out. So if that's the Notre Dame I'm getting, then stay home.
Kirby Smart after said, look, we got to do something about this.
Yeah,
this is not.
Because that's the Notre Dame you would have gotten. Well, if that's the Notre Dame I'm getting, we'll stay home. I mean, if I'm going to get –
You still would have got a few more eyeballs.
At the beginning of the game,
the only thing they can do, and I don't know if it would be legal, it would be challenged in courts and probably successfully, is that players cannot commit for the portal or anything like that until January 15th.
And they can move the calendar in the portal. Sure, they can.
You're not allowed to officially get into the portal until January the 3rd, I think it is.
That they have to do something with requiring players. There has to be some sort of disincentive for backing out of playing, even if you're going to be a first-round draft choice, if you want to ensure the best teams possible at all bowl games show up. And I don't know that can be done.
Well, these bowls are private entities, and they probably have had a few too many, to begin with. So some of these there'll be some casualties when it comes to these bowls. And, I mean, you're seeing them play in front of some of these bowls and, a couple hundred people.
What do you think about the idea of moving a lot of these bowl games to the first week in September and having them invite teams to go in and play, paying them a guarantee?
Higher quality non-conference games? You're going to have to.
Yeah. Okay, so if you
that's what we have now, Charlie. You have the Georgia Dome Classic.
Yeah, you got 4 or 5 of them. What if you had 20 of those?
You got more than that. You get about 10, 12 neutral site games.
Yeah, okay. What if you had 25 of them? What if the Pop-Tarts Bowl invited Notre Dame and Penn State or whoever to go play?
They got to accept it. They got to want to play the non-conference quality opponent.
Now there's a requirement you can make.
That's actually a very good idea, because I was as I was waiting for you guys to call, I'm thinking to myself, with all the people opting out of these bowl games, with the exception of the college football playoff, there's really not a necessity for bowl games anymore because of all the people who do miss it. But if you did have a bowl, like you said, private enterprises, sponsors, etc., if you did have them in September sponsoring some of these high-caliber matchups, you would get some pretty good attendance. Imagine getting Alabama against Ohio State in September. I think once we expand the field to 16, it won't be that much difficult to overcome a loss between, say, a Miami versus a Notre Dame early in the season, so that you could have great crowds and you'd have great matchups to get everybody excited about the upcoming football season that'll start, at about the same time that you have those 20, 25.
The bottom line is, last year you had those teams that were snubbed would, those resumes, those 3 SEC 9-3 schedules would not have made it this year. These teams like Vanderbilt, like Notre Dame, would have made last year's.
Yeah.
Would have made last year's, So
Andy,
it can fall like that.
Andy, let me ask you about the Circa. We're down to 10 people with 4 weeks to go, which is a surprise to some because with over 18,700 entrants at the beginning, there was a thought, well, they'll have to chop this thing up 20 ways. But they're down to 10 after the Eagles lost last night. Implied value, $1.87 million for those 10 players still in the contest.
I imagine there will be some talk of a split because you still do have 5 contest weeks remaining with the Christmas week split into 2. And I believe there's only 3 games available in that Christmas week.
Multiple people left already said they're not doing it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good. We're going to possibly get, I think, one. By the way, the Westgate Super Contest that they did the first year, their Survivor rather, which had, I think, 111 entries. They were down to 6. They were down to 8 for the last few weeks. That ended this past week as 6 went out with the Tampa Bays, and another went out with. I'm trying to remember the other one that they went out with.
Yeah, so they all split.
Cleveland, I think, was the other one that got 1 participant, and only 1 participant had Seattle, and he collects the $550,000.
Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. We will talk to you on Sunday for Football Sunday, buddy.
Look forward to it, guys. Have a great week.
All right, don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and Relief Windows for doors, siding, shutters, and windows. If your homeowners association requires wood windows, wood frame windows offer timeless style and generally regarded as the most aesthetically pleasing of all wood window materials that we have at Relief Windows. They add efficiency as well, great natural insulation, and a limited lifetime warranty to handle these extreme South Louisiana weather conditions. We guarantee you complete satisfaction for years to come and provide the highest quality service and craftsmanship around. I got my windows, the gel wind windows from Relief Windows. They're functional, they look good, and they last. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com, 288-8138.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And a return here at Doe's Eat Place, Government Street, Mid-City. Do first class, second class, no class at the top of the hour.
Yeah, Joe Burrow in there, huh? First class for all but 2 plays. What the hell happened on those 2 plays?
It was about the most shocking.
What was he doing with it? Was he throwing a shot put or a football?
I don't know, man. It's not the kind of play you expect any quarterback to make, much less him.
No, you got 32 guys playing this week. You say, okay, here's this play. Guess who? He's my last guess.
It looked to me it was like a predetermined screen, and then he looked up and, it's getting jumped, and he just tried to kind of float it up at the last second.
Okay, well, yeah.
Couldn't hold on to it, I guess, but yeah, it was a bad one.
Been all over the place on Joe Burrow. Hey, first of all, I didn't think he was
going
to
come back.
come back.
But he backs it up the next snap and throws it a first-down interception.
Didn't think he was going to come back, and then he gets back, and now it's like, hey, you guys got a chance to make the playoffs here. You had a chance to win the game in Buffalo.
When he played on, he threw he acted like he was playing the worst defense in the best conditions around. He was throwing the ball downfield. Even the one the backdoor cover, T. Higgins, he catches one. I mean,
he could be in all 3 categories.
Fire.
He could be in all 3 categories.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that performance in Buffalo had everything, and it was just so. And listen, after he had the 2 back-to-back, and they went right down to Charlie. I mean, he was throwing it downfield, man. I mean, like 25, 30 yards downfield. And the dink and dunker was Josh Allen in the game.
Back for hour number 2 here at Doe's Eat Place, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. First class, second class, no class. Stop by And join us for lunch here in the Crown Town room towards the rear of the facility. All right, first class. I loved this visual when I saw it. I heard about it, and then I went and found some video on it. The LSU women's basketball team was playing against UNO earlier this week. They're out there for, pregame, national anthem. Sound system didn't work down there. What did them girls start doing, Jimmy? They started singing. They started singing, and
this is the same group that they criticized when they had that false report when they were in the locker room. And then it came out that they weren't standing, but they weren't even out on the court for the national anthem,
which was procedure.
So this is the same crew that took upon themselves to sing the national anthem.
They were like, the sound system. They started singing. The crowd. The crowd started comes into it. It was really cool to watch it because they're all like, okay, are we going to all sing? Yeah, we're going to sing. It was cool. I liked it.
A little bit of a caveat.
You going to rain on my national anthem parade?
By far the most challenging thing they would face that day.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a.
How bad did it beat UNO?
60-something.
Charlie, was it more challenging to rally?
I'm sure they were more nervous singing than playing basketball.
That was a bigger accomplishment than the actual win itself. No, but that's cool. No, of course.
It was a lot
being
of fun.
A little lighthearted. No, that's very, very cool.
And they're good. They're
How do
really,
we know?
really good. Well, they went and beat Duke by 16 at Duke.
Okay. Then the ACC-SEC Challenge.
Yeah. They demolished what was a preseason top 5. Now, Duke's played the worst.
So that was their first quad one game?
Yeah.
Started in a 14-1 hole in that game.
Yeah.
So that was – wait, what was it?
They were down 14-1 out of the gates.
14-1?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't cover, though. 16.5.
I'm sure Duke had played a little bit better competition going in. Huh?
Duke's played, I believe, the top schedule in the country so far.
Is that right?
They were preseason top 5. They've lost like 4
losing
games.
record, yeah.
Because they played.
So both the men and the women this week played their first Q2 game?
With decidedly different results.
Well, they both fell behind early.
The men stayed behind. The whole game. In fact, it got worse.
Are they out the tournament now, Max?
39 40 Ken Palm. They're right on the edge. I think
Ken Palm isn't. That's not a metric that they use.
No, but they tend to be.
You
make it as an at-large if you're about
spread. It's a
top
point
35.
spread determiner.
It tends to match up with the net a little bit.
But. What's the net? The net is one they use.
Right now, they are today 41.
Net is what they use. They tell you it's what they use.
Well, it's flawed right now, as we discussed previously. When they were 16th a week ago. I don't think that was right either. But
no, it wasn't.
They played a top 20 team, a team that's on the back end of the top 20, and they were never in the game. They were down double digits 8 minutes in.
Played like they had a serious problem stepping up in class.
Purdue got beat by 30. It can happen.
I mean, and I'll maintain before, how do we know they're any good? If you've beaten up the schedule that they played. Charlie, you put the schedule in no class, the non-conference schedule.
The non-conference schedule. As the athletic director, I would have rejected that home schedule out of hand.
How?
I'm trying to sell some tickets here, please. I'm not saying you got to play the Lakers, Celtics, and Mavericks, but you got to play somebody.
It's not football.
Yeah.
It's not football. It's a wear and tear of playing a tough non-conference schedule.
SMU 30 Ken Palm. You get them on Saturday in New Orleans.
SMU is. You got a real coach there. Andy Enfield has brought multiple teams to the NCAA tournament. He's at SMU with some money. And
30 net. Sorry, I said Ken Palm. 30 net.
Yeah. No, there's a couple of teams on the non-conference.
It's a true road game.
No, it's
in New Orleans.
New Orleans. I'm sorry, New Orleans.
And they're back-to-back in Ken Palm. 39
That's this weekend, huh?
That's Saturday evening.
What I would have rejected out of hand is the home schedule. It's like you have to give my season ticket holders something, okay? If I'm asking them to come out, so that was the bad part. My other first class this week goes last night. Derek Queen. Triple-double last night for the New Orleans Pelicans. If you weren't watching, and most people aren't watching the Pelicans, and I understand why. They're an atrocious basketball team. But Queen is really turning some heads. 33 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 block shots. He was 11 of 15 from the field and 11 of 13 from the free throw line. 5 players in NBA history have had a 30-point triple-double before turning 21. This is a pretty good list. Luka, LeBron, Victor, and De'Aaron Fox. And if you want to throw the blocks in, that's never been done since they first began tracking blocks back in the early 70s. Queen, in his last 4 games, is averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 assists for a big man. And maybe my favorite number for Derek Queen is 25. He has played 25 games. The Pelicans have played 25 games. He has played in all of them. So is Jeremiah Fears, the other rookie, by the way. But Queen is really, really turning some heads for somebody 2 months into his NBA career. It's a really bright start for him.
Third in rookies in scoring at just under 18 a game. Dylan Harper, San Antonio, they played last night. Ryan Kalkbrenner, we talked about him from Creighton, the top 2 scoring rookies so far.
Now, I got him at 13 a game for the season. Now, in the last month, it's close
I'm sorry,
to
this
18.
is player efficient. This is PER, player efficiency ratings.
But the points are going up. He's getting a lot more. The first half a dozen games, his minutes were restricted.
The efficiency rating, which the minutes played, assists, turnover, everything, and he had 4 blocks.
Yeah,
I mean, could be what's in a triple double. So 4 blocks as well.
You throw that in, that's never been done.
It's never been done by
somebody under 21.
Somebody under 21.
Under 21.
Okay, yeah, because he was a one and done at Maryland.
He is a terrific free throw shooter. He gets to the line a lot, or at least he got to the line a lot last night. I think he's a player that will continue to get to the line a good bit. And the assist total for a big man is really eye-popping. Over the last 4 games, it's 6.5 assists per game, but he had double-digit assist games earlier in the season. There's a lot to like about Derek
I think
Queen.
his minutes will keep going up, too. He doesn't have as many minutes as the 2 Duke players, Com Knipple and Cooper Flagg. They both had like 34 minutes a game. He's right at 25.
Queen 10-1, third choice behind Flagg and Knipple to win Rookie of the Year. I guess I'll have to eat my words. I thought it was kind of stupid that when they decided to let Troy Weaver's son influence their pick. He was a grad assistant at Maryland and said, hey, you got to take this guy. It looks like that player evaluation
Here's a $1 million question. Could you have gotten them where they were?
Probably not. But you could have taken him with the first pick, or you could. Listen, I promised a few weeks ago that I'm not going to continue to harp on the trade when we're talking about Queen, because
you don't know if you could have got him. You know where they were.
I don't think they would have gotten him there. My biggest thing was, if you're going to make this trade, there had to be some lottery protections on the pick that you sent back, which is sitting at number 1. Top 3 odds, okay, to get the number 1 pick. But I promised myself I'm not going to hang that around Derek Queen's neck the way I did with Mark Ingram. That wasn't fair, and it's not his fault. All he's done is show up and play his ass off. So I'm gonna go with that.
He's off to a quicker start than Mark Ingram was.
Yes, quite a bit. And I'll tell you, if he has the kind of year that the first 25 games is indicative of, it's going to make it a lot easier to move on from Zion Williamson in the offseason.
All right. One question, though. How much of these are hollow statistics? How much is garbage production?
This was a 3-point game last night, so I don't think any of that.
They had a great third quarter.
No, you're right. But I mean, they're playing some games where
they are getting blown out at times.
The biggest problem is defense right now, Jimmy. I was listening to the radio broadcast, and I think it might have been Graffinini who mentioned that they were stressing defense big time in practice, and it didn't work. The coaching staff was saying, we got to defend. They were driving that home, and they still allowed 130.
Do you have players? Is he any kind of defender? He's a below the rim player.
He's a tweener.
Not usually,
He's a hybrid.
He's a tweener or a hybrid?
Hybrid, because he's playing well.
He's a hybrid on the offensive end. Is he a tweener on the defensive end?
I guess that's how you would phrase it, I guess.
Look, he's blocking some shots at least. That's encouraging. I'll give you a couple games, Jimmy. He had at the beginning of the month they played Minnesota. He had 21, 8, and 6, and they lost that game in overtime. So that was competitive. Yeah. They had a game against Dallas where he was 27 rebounds and 11 assists, and they lost that game by 3. So some of these games, at least some of his best games, he had a 39-4 game against Denver. They lost that one by 7. So
it's a little different, say a a quarterback in the NFL whose team is down all the time, and he gets, every fourth quarter he's got 125 yards and 2 TDs, to pad the stats. Because the NBA, how many leads are safe? I mean, you're not emptying the bench a whole lot. You don't know who's playing, every game. And the biggest thing is, if he ever gets into the playoffs, will his game translate to the postseason? That's the biggest thing.
Sure. I'm not going to tell you that there's no garbage time.
No, I'm saying the league doesn't lend itself
Yeah.
to a whole lot of garbage time in the regular season. But if you don't have to face Wembanyama when he's playing defense, well, that's an advantage. Did he play last night?
He did not. He did not. He was out last night. And look, if the worst thing I can say about him is he's going to struggle against Victor Wembanyama, there's a lot of guys.
And I don't know if he's matched up on him or not, but he defends the whole damn floor.
Yes,
he's so damn long.
He's 7'5". Yeah. Second class. I'm going with Texas Tech. This is good with a chance to be great. I told you yesterday that if I had to pick one team for value to win the national championship, it would be Texas Tech at about 9-1, depending on where you shop. I realize they're not the favorites, but with one loss and that coming without your starting quarterback, really dominant in a championship game, dominant for a lot of the season. Jimmy, if I had one ticket to buy, it would be on Texas Tech.
All right, took one of my boosts, put him on him.
Yeah?
Yep. They're at about 10-1. I identified 3 teams that can win the national championship. I know some people will get some pushback based on Saturday's results, and that's fine. I think there's only 3 teams that are capable of going through this bracket and winning all the games.
Well, you're leaving at least one out that I would have because I
understand. I know the one you'll have.
I would have the 2 teams that played in the Big Ten championship game plus Georgia plus Texas Tech.
Yeah, I don't have Georgia.
You don't think Georgia can do it?
Okay.
No. All right.
No. That was a 1-7. Kirby, what's your record against this team? 1-7. They played like they were pissed. 1-7.
Would you
and with not a whole lot at stake, obvious. Now, did they know that going in? I think Georgia kind of knew they were in, but
they knew they were in. But they weren't guaranteed a bye.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But Alabama had more motivation for them. But it's just 1-7. I don't think. I think they're improved. I do, but I don't think they can. I don't think they're in the class. I think the SEC is void of, and this is one thing we didn't realize. But it's football. You lose players. And they had pro players on the bench that would come in when they would lose players due to injury. And those guys are gone. Those guys are going at at all 5 of these rosters for the SEC. It's going at Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia. They're gone. And I just don't see these super teams. I don't see the Georgias in the same breath as those 2 teams that went back-to-back, or the 2019 LSU team, or the several Alabama teams that won it all. I just don't see it.
Well, I don't think they're as good as those teams either, but they don't have to play those teams. I think the teams that they have to play this year, they're capable of beating.
I think there's a clear Texas Tech just doesn't struggle against, Indiana just doesn't struggle. Ohio State, that some of the struggles that Georgia has had this year. I could be wrong. I knew the one you were going to tell me.
If Notre Dame made it, would they have been one of those 3?
They would have been, yes, I would have had Notre Dame as one of the teams that could win it all. Yes.
I hate to agree, but I would too.
Yes. And that's the thing that hurts the most is that they had a team that had a shot and got left out, so.
Because of the way that they were playing. All right. No class.
Why do you hit no class when Moscona comes in here?
Oh, it's a complete coincidence. I didn't even see him walk in. In the last 8 days, we have had 27 coaches coaching decisions. Even maybe somebody coming in or somebody going. We turned over 27 coaches, signed 68 Power 4 conference classes of high school kids, had 42 bowls assigned, and 10 of them turned down. I lost track of the amount of assistant coaches that have already turned around. I've lost track of how many players have declared for the portal because they don't start counting those numbers until you are officially in the portal, which is not going to be until the first week in January. But I'm hoping that this – I hate to use the word chaos because I think it gets overturned a lot, but this jumbled up, compressed, just bad look for the number of decisions that have had to be made. And Lane Kiffin's part of this. But he wasn't the only one. These impossible decisions for coaches and athletic directors that players had to make who have been committed for months, in some cases over a year, to completely new staffs on less than a week's notice, these life-changing decisions. They're going to meet and decide sometimes in January what the new college football calendar is going to look like. Please, for the love of God, try to take everything into consideration when you're doing this and not just how much more money the TV networks are going to give you. Can we have a serious discussion about the calendar? Can we have a serious discussion about the portal? Can we have a serious discussion about the future of bowl games? And cannot everybody just have their hand in somebody's pocket? Can we get past that a little bit? Because I think if you fix this thing, and we've talked about some of the solutions. It's too long to go into here. But if you fix some of these things, there's going to be even more money. I really don't want to be in a situation where we're talking about championship games being meaningless or being some kind of second-class citizens. I really don't want to have to put a 17-year-old in the thing. Well, we know this coach you've been committed to for over a year is fine, but he's gone now, and you've got until noon tomorrow to make your decision. None of this has to be like this, and I'm hoping that there is a change. So it's no class for what has happened over the last couple of weeks, but maybe I should have put it in second class, good with a chance to be great, or bad with a chance to be better. Jimmy might have been a better way to put it.
What of the 9 championship games did you think were played like they were meaningless?
None of them were
besides
played.
Tuscaloosa.
I don't think any of them were played because I don't think players and coaches go out there and you're not tanking in a championship
What atmosphere
game.
was compromised?
Atmosphere was compromised.
I thought they were great.
I thought the SEC championship game with Georgia, and we've been to a bunch of these things. The atmosphere there is always great. We've also seen the ACC.
You think we're going to talk to Wes tomorrow? I know he's biased, but
yeah.
you know what he's going to say.
The ACC game was a fantastic game. There were empty seats everywhere.
Oh, but the crowd was the
ones that were there were loud. Yeah,
the 30% of the fans were going crazy. They get 2 teams,
and the weather was lousy. I get it.
It was lousy. That's where they play every year, and you're going to roll the dice with that. Yeah. But man, that was a great. The
ones that were there.
The ones were there was
were good
and an exciting, very exciting game.
And maybe it's more of the talking heads just saying, "Well, they don't need to win this game to get in."
Charlie, you got to understand. There's so many people that don't cover college football that really don't care, and it's just so secondary that don't, they're going to find things to criticize. There's a lot of things, but people don't like players getting paid now. They wish it was, that's fine. Man, the product is better than ever. You put the damn TV on a Saturday during the regular season. These guys are playing harder than ever because they know they put out some film. They put some tape out there on themselves. They will improve their situation. Maybe the motivation's different instead of good old you and a loyalty to you. Maybe it is a little bit of money. Maybe it is a little bit. But you put out – man, I'm sorry. They miss all the time in recruiting. And Trinidad Chambliss shouldn't have been playing where he is. And, Jared Verse shouldn't have been playing where he was. And all these guys, man, that get opportunities because they get out there and they play. Diego Pavia, it's done. It's done in the old days, dude.
And none of those things are what I'm criticizing.
You remember that New Mexico State Bowling Green Motor City Bowl, don't you?
No.
Like it was yesterday, of course. Well, that was his highlight.
Yeah.
Until he went to Vanderbilt and started doing it in the SEC.
And I'm fine with all that. Can we get to a place where we don't have signing day championship weekend and 27 coaching changes in the same week?
The committee actually preserved if you pay attention, preserved the participation in the championship games. No, you're not going to opt
Tell
out.
it to BYU.
It is. Should making the SEC championship game, is that a bigger accomplishment than make it to the Big 12? Iowa State was left out last year.
Yeah, and so you're.
But they weren't. They didn't have a resume. You think the resume?
What if BYU would have lost a tiebreaker and been 11-1? Would they have been in?
That's a good question.
And so,
probably not.
For whatever it's worth,
it's got to be in the top 9.
Yeah.
For whatever it's worth, since apparently the last Tuesday shows were meaningless, they were not in as of the week before because they were 11 and they would have gotten booted for.
I realize there's no chance. I would like to do away with the Tuesday show because I think it creates.
They had discussions way before the reaction. They said they might not have it. But the Tuesday show also told you if they are, and we talked about this. This is why I covered my bet and bet Miami to make it to the playoff because he said. And not a lot of people, you got to. He said if they are side by side, head-to-head is going to matter more.
I'll be surprised if ESPN gives up that show. For as much as we criticize it, everybody watches. Everybody's paying attention to it. It's
the last few. I don't know if it's appointment TV.
They sell the advertising for the year based on how many people watch. They're selling it. They're selling it. I'll be surprised if they give it up. I would like to see it go away.
Oh, I didn't start the conversation. I'm talking about the people on the show. Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit. Herbstreit said Sunday. Did you hear him Sunday? We shouldn't have the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's on the show.
He's got enough gravitas to say that and not get fired over it. So,
see how that works, Max? I'll give him the information. Oh, Herbstreit said. Well, that's different.
You're exactly right, Jimmy. Great point.
on that, I wasn't.
You do it all the time, boy.
I didn't take it like that. First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice, SupremeRice.com. Holiday season is here. Of course, if you're making your holiday goodies with rice, make it Supreme Rice. Brown, long grain, medium grain, jasmine, the parboiled rice, the low glycemic rice for diabetics. Perfect in your rice dressings, all of your gumbos. Now that we got a little bit of cold weather. Pick it up at your local AG food stores, your Walmarts, your Rouses, and, of course, for more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. Part of the Climate Smart program.
Gumbo weather. Yes, gumbo weather. It's so important to have a high-quality rice, the poor rice from Supreme Rice. It's been a hit, man. Been a hit. So for the holiday season and throughout the entire – so that's the great thing about gumbo. You make a big pot, you freeze some things, it reheats. It's actually better because it condenses the flavor. When you reheat it, kind of cooks it down just a little bit more. And, man, it's great to throw that thing in the freezer, put it in a microwave, put it on the stove, whatever it is, to kind of get that stuff right. But having that parboiled rice from Supreme Rice, that long grain rice, thick, firm rice, all the nutrients of brown rice, it makes a difference.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store, out in LaRose and Lockport. It's great holiday gift ideas from the Thibodeau Store. Power tools and hand tools right now. Milwaukee tools up to 51% off of those. Same-day pickup is offered on pretty much anything you can find on the website. Delivery available on a lot of these items. 45% off of channel lock tools. Tons of outdoor heaters, security cameras, grills, griddles, outdoor furniture, all of them on sale at thethibodeaustore.com, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, Highway 70 in Pierre Part. And you can order from any of the properties at thethibodeaustore.com. Just hit the little drop-down menu up at the top, and you can order from any of those. Here's the holiday season continues. The Thibodeau Store, thethibodeaustore.com.
Max and I were talking about that the BCS weighed up. Notre Dame would have been in the old formula. I just don't. I mean, you're gonna allow them. You can have them be the 12th team, or even the 11th, and have some. some other qualifiers that, somebody ahead of them that's going to get snubbed in this current system. I mean, if you're going to allow them to have that, why didn't it go into place this year? So, I don't think where people are saying, well, that's going to force them to get into a conference. Well, not if they have that.
And again,
okay,
they play. The whole idea about getting into a conference is so that they will play a reasonable schedule, right?
No. Have a free swing at a conference championship too.
Yeah, I mean they played 10 games against power conference teams, and their two non-conference or non-power teams were better than most of the teams that. Navy and Boise State are better than a lot of the FCS schools that these teams are playing. So if your argument is against Notre Dame's schedule, I would say that if they had been a full-time member of the ACC this year, I don't think it would have been any better.
They had a slightly better strength of schedule than Miami, who was in a conference.
It was basically what and what not.
It was pretty close. Yes.
Yeah. No, they're playing a 75% ACC schedule. But they also did that, Charlie. They chose the weakest one. That just wasn't by accident.
Okay. This is the Florida State argument. They could have joined the SEC but in 93, but they joined the ACC. Yeah, okay. That held up.
I mean, Florida State won how many games in a row before they lost to Charlottesville? 40.
I know we're never going to get to a perfect number, but how much better would you feel about this if the 16 teams
16
were in?
The more you expand it, there's going to be more teams that are actually more qualifying and snubbed. When you had 4, very few can get into that elite status. You had a 5th, but every now and then you did. And let's not act like this hasn't happened before, where the show came on every week and gave you a rating, and then they flipped it the last week because of bait. It was 11 years ago. You remember who it was?
11 years ago.
You don't remember that? You don't remember the Ohio State quarterback, the third-string quarterback who came in and led them to a rout of Wisconsin?
Cordell Jones.
And it was actually TCU who played Iowa State on that last date.
Yeah.
And they got jumped, and because they jumped them, because they were Big Ten champion, they blew them out. They looked very impressive in a short sample size with their quarterback, but they went back to an earlier game that year with Baylor and TCU.
That's what I keep thinking of, that head-to-head.
It's happened before.
Yeah, it has.
But it's happened to Notre Dame. It's a bigger deal.
Well,
when he told us, he said if they get side by side, we are going to prioritize head-to-head more.
Yeah,
he told us. Now,
and they made sure that they got
that wasn't on the show. That was on the teleconference. But they told us, and people who are reporting on this, like Heather Dinich and some others, they said it. And that's where some people said, if they get to that point, how can we know who won head-to-head? I thought they could have done a better job and saying, to me, that's a dumb reason, okay? Why does it take to get side by side where head-to-head is going to be? They're getting closer. Once they went 2 weeks later, what is Notre Dame's best road win? It's at Pitt, okay? And they went there, and it was non-competitive. We all remember, even a touchdown, they put a whole team back in the game. They scored a meaningless touchdown on the very last play of the game. It could have been worse. But Miami goes there. Man, what's Miami going to do? Nobody on this roster has come from this type of weather conditions. And they went there. Final score was worse, but nonetheless, they gave Pitt in that building every bit the beating that Notre Dame did just 2 weeks later in that building. And at that point, they said, listen, we're going to just do everybody a favor here instead of spring it. Next week, when they say, wait a minute, you're 2 spots ahead, they're not playing, how can you jump them? Do it then. Do it then. I mean, they had to have some conversations. They had to have it say, no, BYU's got to lose. Don't you have a little vision? They're probably going to lose as a double-digit dog, right? Huh?
They were counting on that.
But why? Have the conversation. Guys, do we really want to do this? And have Notre Dame ahead of Miami? They're not playing any this week, and we're going to flip them? Do we really want to do that? That's like, what the hell are they talking? What's going on in the room? Or did they see where Virginia got left out, and they didn't want to leave an ACC team out completely.
I think that was part of it.
Was that part of it?
Yeah.
Well, you got to know that Duke has a chance. Do you not?
And they didn't want to put Duke in with 5 losses.
No. You got to know Duke's got a chance. That scenario
Of course, well, depends on how many weeks you go back. You go back 2 weeks, there were 5 teams that were still in.
But you don't want to. You got more reasons to keep Notre Dame ahead of them for political reasons, for ratings. I mean, Notre Dame's a bigger pull than Miami. We all know that. So you really don't want to leave them out. You mean your TV partners don't want to leave them out, right? You want to get the 2 of these semifinals off of TNT. I think they're moving the games, those 2 games, by the way, to True TV. But anyway.
True TV and TNT are very different. TNT's on as many.
I'm joking.
I know.
I'm
okay,
joking.
all right.
But it's watch the ratings for those games compared to the other 2.
Why?
Why can't they have that video? What is going on in the damn room that nobody knows? You ask by Reese Davis every week.
Yeah.
Every week. What about head-to-head? Is it going to be? So you're telling me that if they get together, because they're talking about it on the show, well, they're close to getting together. They're close to getting together week by week. You're the head of it. Now, that's where you really – you did yourself a disservice, and they cry foul and everything else, because that's Notre Dame's biggest bitch. That's their biggest gripe.
Yeah.
Is that, we didn't even play and we got jumped.
Right, yeah.
Neither of us.
So again, that goes back to the Tuesday show. What if they did this, and I realize that nobody's going to
you're not going to put out ratings at all?
Not from the CFP, no.
So you're just going to do one final rating?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're still going to have people upset with how it ends up, but at least you don't have to justify 8 different times how your rankings are. You got to justify it one time.
Well, like they do with March Madness.
Yes.
And
they've started to give you some simulations.
But you just told me that they sell in the advertising, so they're going to keep the show. They're not going to do a show without the damn ratings.
I suggest things all the time that they don't do. Okay, that's nothing new.
Am I prisoner of the moment? But why not? Why did the BCS fail so miserably? Wasn't that because there were only 2 teams?
It was not. We don't want computers doing this for us.
I mean,
we don't want computers.
I looked at the BCS final standings because they still do a mock BCS, and their top 11 is the exact same as my top 11.
And the number one human team left out of the top 2, USC.
Right. So
I'm just telling you why.
What I'm saying is now that it's 12 teams, I think a computer makes a little bit more sense.
I think a computer component, a metric component, yes, does. I mean, the selection committee in basketball uses a metric. They have to use it used to be RPI, now it's NET. They're using it. So it was a combination, but it was so little of the human element that they didn't like. They thought they wanted to see USC in that game. And USC was the most popular. They were the biggest ratings driver that year. And they were left out.
I just think now
people wanted to see them play in the national championship game and not against Michigan in the Rose Bowl.
Now that it's 12, it's different than
not around here, but most of the country.
And I think the year after that was even more damaging to the BCS when you had an undefeated Auburn team get left out. That was when Mike Slive really got it in gear and said, this is not happening to us again in the SEC.
Well, the SEC that's not happening to the SEC ever again, or probably not. But the thing was,
he made certain of it.
Was preseason rankings.
You're right.
And I shouted at the raindrops forever about that they have to, and still the people that vote in the polls, they don't adjust their polls until the committee.
Two
They're
games.
more proactive once they go midstream, but they cannot leave. We say about it all the time. Wait, this team to be ranked teams. This team what was Penn State? What did they do to deserve being number 2 when they were number 2 in the country? With those 3 damn Renner wins
they had a good year
Charlie's
last
best
year.
line in the post game. Penn State has concluded their preseason schedule.
16 teams, one group of 5 team, the other 15 based on merit. That's what I would do. They'll never agree to that. 16 teams, you're guaranteed one group of 5 team in, and that's it. The other 15 picked solely on merit. Doesn't matter what no guarantees. That's what the SEC.
None.
That's what the SEC wants, and they're not going to get that.
I'm fine with one group of 1.
Yeah,
group
one.
Of 5. Yeah, I'm fine with one. I mean, give them something to
Tulane or James Madison, but not both.
Well, it would have been Tulane,
and that's fine. That's fine.
And that's fine. One of them, not all of them. No, not multiple. That will be fixed. You don't have to sweat that. Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Our great team of bankers at UCB: Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, and Prentice Wilkes. Again, United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Also brought to you by the Morris Insurance Group. You're having a hard time getting your coastal properties and your big boy toys insured. The Morris Insurance Group wants you to look again. Go to morris-ig.com. Get a quote. You can also call 225-201-0007. Ask for Buzzy Hydell. Your boats, your trailers, your motorcycles, your RVs, plus auto, home insurance, commercial insurance, and yes, flood insurance available on those coastal properties. You got the duck camp. You got the fishing camp. Head on over. Morris Insurance Group at morris-ig.com.
One thing that Max was talking about with the BCS, too, the BCS did simulate people to schedule tougher because that computer, they knew the difference between playing Villanova and playing Virginia Tech, like in 2007.
2007, the Virginia Tech game saved LSU.
Yeah.
There's no – they need some other help, too, at the end, obviously. But that Virginia Tech game was a big, big swing. They don't win.
Because, we've never heard this many coaches say, man, I ain't scheduling anybody. They may have said it, some of it privately, and they did, but just coming out public, you name it.
And there was going to be some of this anyway with the SEC going to 9 games. Alabama's already rescheduled a couple of non-conference opponents in the next 10 years. You were already going to see some of that. Because if you're going to make them play non-conference games and a 10th game against a power team, then very few of these teams are going to play somebody else.
No. The SEC, but the other team, Penn State's schedule next year is very close to what it was this year, the three teams.
Penn State is an abomination how they have scheduled, and I would hate to see all of them be like that. Big Ten doesn't have a requirement that you got to schedule another Power 4 team outside of the 9.
No, because they have none. They always they throw it. They
don't.
They threw
the
it.
SEC is going to have that next year. You still
they're
got to play
maintaining it while adding
a game.
Yes,
yeah.
So. What the hell? You act like we're talking about this for the first time.
You brought it up.
I'm talking about the computers that BCS. They did help stimulate. You would get rewarded for scheduling tougher non-conference.
Computers do a good job of narrowing the nuance of the strength of schedule. People look at, they didn't beat a good team, Notre Dame. Well, like a blowout over a 3-win Arkansas. Yeah, is Arkansas a great team? No, but they're better than like some cupcake in the non-Power 5.
Well, you can only go by your results.
Right, but there's nuance to. They're not just good team, bad team. They're okay teams.
I could tell you this: that Arkansas team that played that day, you could have put 11 traffic cones up there, and there'd been much resistance as it was defensively. I'm sorry, that was a joke. Screens that nobody's touching the guy for like 45 yards, close. Nobody's in the picture. It was no.
Well,
Taylor Green tried to trade punches for a little bit early, and it would just. No.
USC, is that a good win? What do you call good? It's a decent win.
It's their best win at home. It's their best opponent that they've beaten.
Because some people just say no good wins, and that's their schedule. But there's nuance to
it. They're really light on the good wins. The quality wins are really light.
The computer changes its mind on what a good team is a lot faster than the human perception is. Penn State, Clemson, LSU. All of those would have been top 10 wins in September, okay? By the time you got to the end of October, those wins didn't look very good at all, especially the Penn State wins.
And then you have games like, when Georgia played Auburn. Think that looked like that was a 1-7 conference team?
No, they were they were better.
When Alabama played Auburn.
That's where the human element comes back into it. Is like, okay, well, these teams are playing better now than they were at the beginning of the season, but the computer's going to tag them for those September losses anyway, and those October losses. But that's where the eyes come on. You wanted some kind of balance between the computers and the humans. That's what they tried to do and never could quite get it.
I love what the Pinstripe Bowl did. Penn State Clemson. Biggest underachiever bowl.
Yeah, it's good.
That's in a pinstripe?
Pinstripe Bowl. Penn State Clemson.
Oh, my gosh.
Who wins?
The Big Boy Mower Pinstripe Bowl.
Dabo's good in these meaningless games, bro. He is.
Who's coaching Penn State?
Troy Smith.
Okay.
They like him. Terry Smith. They love him.
Go get him, Dabo.
Don't forget, we're over here at Doe's today. You're trying to get some holiday gatherings in, big reservations, tables, 8, 12, something like that. Or you want a gathering of 20, 25, up to 50 people here in the Crown Town Room. Reserve it for your holiday gathering this holiday season. Just call Scotty Boy over here at Doe's Place. Tomorrow, we were at Modesto on Burbank, right next to the original walk-ons, just off of Nicholson.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Harold Perkins headed to the East-West Shrine game as some of these postseason accolades start to get lined up. Phillip Rivers signing with the Colts practice squad. If he stays on the practice squad, he stays with his Hall of Fame eligibility where it is. If he is active for a game, he's got to start over. He's a semifinalist for next year's class. Phillip Rivers last played in a game in 2020, the COVID year. January 2021, the playoff game.
Bills.
Yeah, against the Bills. They played it in front of
well against it in the game.
6,500 people were at that game. It was at the end of that COVID season. So
lost by
5
7?
years.
They were driving at the end, man. They kind of got stalled, but it was tight.
They were 11
very
and 5.
competitive.
They were 11-5 that year. 5 years after playing at that age,
they're desperate.
Yeah, well, I get it.
Get a guy from the XFL.
I don't know what you do.
I would.
There's only been 5 guys in NFL history have started a game at 44 or older. Brady, Vinny, Steve DeBerg, and Warren Moon. I mean, it's pretty small group
get
that has
Diego.
played.
He's got a lawyer that can get him eligible.
That's right. Just appeal. Thanks to the folks here at Doe's Eat Place for being our host today. Tomorrow we are at Modesto, corner of Burbank and Nicholson. So thank you very much for Max, for Jimmy, Jordan back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.